he made both Damien and I's life absolutely miserable.
Ugh.
Then they were doing things. He would come to me like, "Oh, can we call it hashtag Terrifier? That way, it's at least at the top of the list in Redbox." I'm like, "No, you can't call it hashtag Terrifier. That's stupid."
Now it's a holiday. Now it's a holiday.
Folks at home, welcome back to RueTV Tonight. Surprise, we are back. It's been a long-ass time. You saw the highlight package that I put together last week. I hope you watched it. If you didn't watch it, what's wrong with you? What are you doing? Were you doom scrolling on TikTok again? Get the hell off the app and watch my damn YouTube. They bury me under the algorithm, guys. They
I
bury
know.
me. They bury me. You gotta make an effort to watch the the content, but especially you got to make an effort to watch tonight. And if you're listening to me right now, then obviously you're watching because I got a very special human being on the show today, and I'm very happy to have him on. You know what? I have a laundry list for an intro for this guy right here. A laundry list. I don't know. The only other person who had a laundry list was Natalie Slater, and I read that for about an hour. But let me go down this list that was generated from, well, I'll let you know later. This is an award-winning film producer, an award-winning editor-in-chief. We'll tell you where in a minute. A WGA writer. I'm extremely jealous. I always wanted to be a WGA writer. Fun fact, I bet you didn't know that. An actor, a live event host, a television personality, a radio host, a published author, respected horror and paranormal historian, tastemaker, and tastemaker. Huh.
I make some tastes, baby.
Yeah, yeah, that's pretty fucking cool. And and critic and well with well over tens of thousands of followers online. And of course and of course we want to say this guy is probably one of the most respected people in all of horror.
Thank
You're
you.
hearing it from me, and I don't bullshit you. So,
Thank you.
ladies and gentlemen, we've got Uncle Creepy himself, Steve Barton, on the show tonight. Steve, how the hell are you?
Doing well, man. Just like you dealing with the fucking wrath of old man winter. But, I made sure I saved some energy to do this show because
Yeah.
I'm always excited to talk to people. And thank you for that really, really thoughtful intro. It's very weird. I lived my whole career only hearing about shit when I fuck up.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like when someone does something nice, I'm like, really? You really? So, it's cool, man. Thank you for that.
Well, I know what it's, how good it makes people feel to give people their flowers up front, and I wanted to do that. And also up front, before we get to the good stuff, and I'm not saying this isn't the good stuff, but I want to flip this shit real quick because I don't know how long we're going to talk, and I don't want to bury this at the end. You recently wrote a book, a comedy of tragedy, which is an awesome title. Shame on me because I didn't get a chance to read it yet. It's in written and audio form.
Mhm.
Tell us a little bit about this book that you just self-published
Oh,
recently.
oh man, it turned out to be a book that was never supposed to be a book. And
Yeah,
listen, I mean, my story isn't unique in that I grew up in a very dysfunctional setting
yeah,
as part of a very dysfunctional family.
yeah,
And so for my whole life, I've had a bunch of demons banging around in here. So I was actually doing the psychological thing, I was
yeah.
putting it down on paper or for that matter on screen. And just my overall plan was to delete it when I was done and or print it and burn it or just something to that effect. I just wanted to see if could take that time to get it all out in the most graphic detail
Right.
as possible if it would make me feel better,
Yeah.
and I'll get to whether or not it has. um One day I was sitting right here where I am right now, and I was working on one of 5,000 things as I always am. And my wife came over and she's like, "Hey, you got that thing you wrote?"
Yeah.
And I'm like, "Yeah, why?" And she's like, "Well, can I read it?" And I'm like, "You already married me, lady. It's too late. I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what the fuck you're thinking, man." Um, but she said, "Well, I'm curious." So I sent it to her, and intermittently I'd hear her crying or I'd hear her laughing. And I'm like, fuck,
Right.
what did I do?
Yeah.
And she
Well,
came down.
you're getting those emotions out of people, so that's a good thing.
Yeah. So she came down a few minutes later, and a few minutes. Yeah, it was a real short book. A few hours later,
Yeah.
and she's like, "You can't delete this. You can't burn this." I'm like,
Yeah.
"Why?" And
Mhm.
she's like, "Well, first of all, she had no divorce paperwork in her hand, so win." Um, but I was genuinely curious. It's like, why? Why would you think that? Because
Yeah.
that was my full intention. And she was like, "Well, I've heard a lot of people talk about the stuff you talk about, but never like you talked about it."
Right.
And her point was this could help somebody, you
Hmm.
know?
Yeah.
And I never thought of that. And I was like, "Well, okay. Well, fine." So uh took another 2 years to finish when what she had read was like right up into the industry stuff was about to start, you
Okay.
know?
Yeah.
And so she was like right there in like the middle of the book and or the middle of what would become the book.
Right.
And I got it all out, man. I did it and I was ready to self-publish it because I didn't think anybody would want to give a fuck.
Yeah.
And my friend Josh Milliken, who took over for me when I first left Dread Central, he's an author. So he was like, "Hey man, can I read this?" When he saw I had it. And I'm like, "Well, sure." And he got back to me in like a couple of days and he was like, "What are you doing with this?" And I'm like, "I have fucking no idea. I'm gonna self-publish it. That's what I'm gonna do." He's like, "No, don't do that."
Yeah.
And I was like, "Okay, why?" He goes, "Let me send it to my publisher." So he ended up sending it to his publisher. And within a day, I got a phone call from this guy. And he's like, "We have to put this out. Let's do it.
Right.
But he wanted to put it out because I wrote it. And that's very flattering because, really, just because I wrote it. And they're like, "Yeah, we can do this. Can we call it Uncle Creepy Presents a Comedy of Tragedies?" I'm like, "Well, that sounds a little bit like a coloring book. So no." And so I was like, "Well, did you read it?" And he's like, "Well, no." I'm like, "Well, I think you should read it, you know?" And we left it at that. And, I'll be honest with you, man, when I first started writing this stuff, again, it was every detail, it was
Yeah.
every incident as best as I could remember. And had I have known I was going to publish it, I probably wouldn't have been as descriptive as it was.
Right.
But I said to myself, well, I could go back and edit that. And then I'm like, well, that's far too much fucking work. And
Hmm.
I just went back and instead of deleting anything, I just added to it so it would read like a book instead of just, a
Right.
bunch of random incidents that had happened.
Yeah.
And he got back to me like a week later and he's like, "Okay, now we have to put this out." And I was like, "Really?" And it just went from there, man. It's been a an interesting journey. It's kind of weird that like anytime you meet somebody, they have the possibility of knowing every fucking thing about you already.
Yeah.
And some people were disappointed at first when they found out it was an autobiography
Oh.
because that they want to see me tell the fictionalized horror tale. And
Oh, okay. Yeah.
does
Yeah.
anyone really give a fuck about what I did pre Uncle Creepy?
Yeah. Yeah.
But in order to like appreciate where I've come, I felt it was important for you to know where I came from, you
Right.
know? So
Absolutely.
it's the whole journey. And I could promise it's not boring, it's not stuffy. I do not take myself seriously at all. I think the biggest compliment I got from it was like Kyra Shan, who played Karen Cooper in Night of the Living Dead. She's a good friend of mine. She's like, you're the only person that could have me laughing and sobbing in the same sentence
Yeah. Wow.
because every
That's
humor
impressive.
is humor is my defense mechanism, right? So all
Yeah.
the bad shit is punctuated by the
Self
way that
self
I,
self-deprecation. Yeah,
to a
yeah.
certain extent,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
I mean, it's just, listen, you got to laugh at yourself
You
because
have to.
it's
I think it's yeah.
important. You know, if you can't
Mhm.
laugh at yourself, you're doing it wrong, man.
Yeah.
And whether or not it helped, I think it definitely did because I've been getting messages and emails, and because I'm not hard to get in touch with. The fans are everything to me. Without the fans, I don't exist. So
Mhm.
anytime anybody contacts me, I always respond back. I read every message, I read every comment, I do it all. Because if someone took the time to comment or write or whatever on something, I they deserve the
Yeah.
courtesy of me reading it and responding to it.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
so many people have reached out and said that the book has helped them. And it had a lot of people. I think the most common thing was, it helped them feel not as alone,
Mm.
because
Yeah, yeah.
nobody talks about the bad shit because nobody wants to. So what we do is we internalize that.
Right,
But
right.
then when you can see that someone has been through that shit or been through something similar, you can,
Connect with it. Yeah.
yeah, and I think that's very important. And I don't give a fuck what I do or how popular. I never did this for fame, anything
Yeah.
even remotely did like that. I do this because I love this genre.
Yeah.
It's who I am. You can't fake that shit. As horror fans, we can tell when
You
someone's opposing. You know what I
yeah.
mean?
You probably go back to the days of your Fangoria
Oh yeah, man.
moderator. Yeah, I remember those days, early days of the inter of message boards and stuff online, man. I
It
remember
was
the
the
uh,
Wild West,
yes it
dude,
was.
back
Yes
then.
it
Nobody
was.
knew what the fuck they were doing. That's
Yeah.
actually where I first spoke to my wife. I've known my
Oh,
wife
really?
for
You met her
20
on there?
years.
You met her on
Well,
the through that?
she
I
was
didn't know
one of the
that.
people that used to post on
Oh
the
wow.
Fangoria message
I
boards.
yeah, my friend Brent met his wife through I don't know if you were on AOL at the time, but we're big wrestling fans and
So am I.
yeah. So he met his wife through a wrestling message board on AOL in like 98 or something like that. So
Mhm.
but yeah, it was good. It was good times, and one thing about that is they connect. You connect with people that you wouldn't normally I don't know, connect with in real life, or it is real life, but in person,
Well,
I should say.
I think I think it was important to me to try and build a community.
Yeah,
Um,
most of all.
I met Tony Timpone completely by happenstance,
Hmm.
and he was my neighbor, and I never knew it. And we had started talking, and he realized very quickly that when it comes to the genre, I know my shit. I'm very well read,
Yeah,
and so he gave me a job working at working for free, of course, on
yeah.
the Fangoria message boards. But before that, I'm lucky I grew up in the area I did. I had shows like Chiller Theater and the Fangoria Weekend of
Oh
Horrors
yeah, yeah,
and
absolutely.
Horrified and fucking all this shit you could think of. But I always thought to myself, man, how lucky am I to be able to
Hmm.
have access to that? What do people in like middle America do? What do people overseas do that don't have that type of access? So I always said to myself, if I ever got a chance to build a community where everybody could just come and hang out and talk about the shit that they love without having to worry about being judged or whatever bullshit was going on, you know, I was going to seize that opportunity. And I was very lucky to be able to have done that because that was the genesis of my entire career. To be honest with you, I was like, fuck, dude, I was late 20s, early 30s. I had no
Yeah,
idea what I was doing with my life.
right. Yeah. So speaking of early days of your career and just cutting your teeth and everything, I got to ask you about this because I have no idea about this, and you may have spoken about it in your book. Maybe you didn't. This human being right here, who I happen to have met, I would say about 3 times before he sadly passed away. And I don't need to tell anybody, this is one of the nicest people I have ever met in my life. And you say that he was one of your mentors, and he's in my right hand right now. This guy right here,
Yes.
Mr. Sidney, Mr. Sidney Haig.
He's also right there.
Holy shit. That's a little so yeah, so Sid, by the way, I got a new kitten over the summer named after Sid.
Oh,
I named him Sid after Sid because he was such a great, well, I love his work, of course, too, but tell us a little bit about how exactly you guys, I mean, maybe it was it at the Monster Mania cons, or how did you come up in contact with Sid, and explain a little bit more about how he mentored you.
it was at a chiller theater.
Okay, okay.
It actually, yeah, it was at a chiller theater, and he was there. And yeah, obviously, I've always been a big fan. I love exploitation movies. I love black exploitation movies. I love all that shit.
He's in the
And
70s, yeah.
yeah, man. So and of course, Spider Baby. I mean,
Yeah,
fuck,
yeah,
that movie's
yeah,
fucking insane even today.
yeah.
So he was there, and we just started talking and hanging out. And of course, I was already with Fangoria at that time, just transitioning to the horror channel, which was
Right.
another fucking circus.
Yeah.
But and we just started talking, and he dug me, and
Yeah.
because I made him laugh, and I think a lot of people who were doing what I was doing, they would always ask me, Steve, how do you get yourself into all these fucking parties? Because I was at every room party
Yeah.
you can imagine.
Yeah, it all.
And a lot of the people who were doing what I was doing wasn't. And I think I just would tell them, well, the reason why you don't get invited is you treat them like a fucking performing monkey.
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
treat them like they're whoever the fuck they are.
Right,
I
right.
don't care who they are,
Yeah,
you know? I just want to have
exactly.
a good time. And if I'm having a good time and they're having a good time, then we're enjoying each other's company. And it
Right.
was me, my one of my closest friends, Joe Netter, and Sid. And we became like a road family. We'd see each other at almost every convention,
Hmm.
and we just clicked. I was very lucky to have that man in my life, both Sid and George Romero.
Yeah. That's right. George Romero as well. Yeah. He was the
Yeah,
other, he was the other one.
they both, dude, how fucking lucky am I, right? To just have these two legends in my
Yeah.
life to mentor me through this fucking crazy ass industry. And
It's unreal.
they taught me so much. They taught me the two most important lessons I learned from them, because my dad didn't teach me shit, and my mom died when I was young.
Yeah.
So, I mean, they taught me my two most important lessons, and that's how to treat people, and
Hmm.
more importantly than that, how to expect to be treated.
Right.
And
In
if you're
return.
being mistreated, to say something and stand up for yourself. And that's a pretty scary prospect, when you've lived your life essentially in survival mode, just moving from one situation to the other.
Yeah.
And it's not that they would just tell me these things; they would actually take the time and instill these things in me.
Yeah.
Anytime I had a question or I didn't know what to do in a certain situation, because it wasn't long before I went from internet personality to journalist to film critic to producer. You know, it
Hmm.
wasn't long, and the only reason I found success in any of those avenues is because I had both of those incredible guys mentoring me and being the person I never had to finally give me some direction. So it was such a privilege to have both Sid and George in my life. And even now, when I run across a situation where I'm like, I don't know what to do, I just sit there and I think about, wow, what would they do? What would they say? And I know them so well that the answer is always pretty blatant, but sometimes
Yeah.
you need to hear it in order to believe it, even if you know it.
Hmm.
So
Exactly. Yeah.
they would verbalize this stuff out loud, and I'd be like, all right, got it. Now I can move forward. But it's, again, having those two guys in my life not just as constituents, but as personal friends, as family,
Hmm.
that we could just call each other. And we did call each other all the fucking time to just bullshit about nothing.
Yeah.
And it's like Bigfoot deeming you cool enough to know he really exists, you know?
Exactly. Yeah.
So it was great. So I spent a lot of time on the road with both of them. And before you know it, I was in movies with them and we were hanging out. We were reading stuff that each other would write. We were emailing, we're calling each other names. It was always, I danced with Sid at his wedding.
Oh,
You know,
really? Yeah. Yeah.
there's a picture in the book if you got the hard copy of me dancing with Sid at his wedding.
Oh,
So,
nice. Nice.
and I don't give a fuck. And he didn't
Yeah.
give a fuck either.
Yeah.
That's what I think he loved. I'm Captain Random. When you
Yeah.
go through the book, you'll get a
Yeah.
real quick feel for that. I am a very random person.
He loved that side of your
Yeah,
personality.
it was
That's
just,
what really set you apart and kind of
but he
drew
also
him.
knew
Yeah.
he also knew that I had a really good heart.
Hmm.
And I will always go out of my way for somebody else. And I'll do
Yeah.
whatever. And I never ask anyone for anything. To this day, I've never asked either of them for anything, other than some advice. Talk to me. What do I do in this situation? And they gave me gifts like I
Yeah.
were the most important things, even though they were just, it was just advice, they were the most important things I've ever received from anybody. And now that they're both gone, I take everything that they taught me very seriously because I'm very lucky
Yeah.
to have that. So what I've been doing is I've been mentoring younger filmmakers, you know?
Yeah, I did hear
Mhm.
about that. You're mentoring, up and coming screen if they have a script or if they
Right,
have an idea that they want to get, get off the ground, shit like
right.
that. Tell us you just started that, I think, right? Or recently or
When I left Dread Central, I was editor in chief for like 17, 18 years or some shit like that. And that
yeah,
site's still kicking around. So that's a testament to the work
right.
that we all put in while we were there, or else that site would not have the longevity that it has.
Yeah,
And the one thing I missed so much was being able to help indie filmmakers like I would
right.
do at Dread Central. Because for me, my vision of Dread Central and what set Dread Central apart was the indie filmmaker was on a completely level playing field with the studio filmmaker. You
Mhm.
know, everyone in my estimation deserved the same spotlight. So at Dread Central, they could find that and have that.
Yeah,
So I worked with so many people before they were even fucking anyone. I worked with fucking James Wan. I worked with fucking Scott Derrickson, with fucking James Gunn,
yeah,
Rob Zombie. I mean, there's nobody that has put out a horror movie in the last 30 years I pretty much haven't worked with or
yeah.
know or have been in the trenches with. And I'm very lucky to say that too. But once I was done with Dread Central, I had that itch. I had that itch. And
Once you get bit by the bug, it doesn't.
yeah, man. And especially now at this stage in my life, I have all these answers and I have all this
Yeah,
knowledge. And I'm
yeah,
so lucky to have that given were who decided to give it to me, And it's just very important to me that I give it back, that I pay it forward. So I decided to start consulting for people with their scripts, or if they just need general advice about the industry, or if they're curious about whatever.
yeah,
I'm like, okay, well, one, as much as I always want to do it for free, I do have to support myself, right?
yeah.
So I'm like,
That's
okay.
understandable, of course.
I'm,
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, let me see how much people charge for like consultations. So I did a quick Google search and I was fucking aghast. Like some people were like 10,000 per hour. And I'm like,
Oh.
how the fuck? That's a fucking indie filmmaker's entire budget.
That does,
Right?
and it does. Yeah, that's ridiculous.
So I'm just like, you know what? I'm undercutting everybody by like 90%.
Yeah,
So I charge $100 an hour, which is,
yeah.
you know, not I don't even want to charge that. I just
Hmm.
have to because it's my time and I have
Yeah,
other things like, I don't have what you would call a normal day job. So I have to
right,
hustle and I've
right.
always been hustling. And so, but there are other packages if they want notes with the script. There's a package for that if they want They want me to help write the script with them. There's a package for that. And I always keep everything super cheap and reasonable. Even when I do appearances at shows, because I just started doing that like a couple years ago,
Yeah.
which blew my mind because I still don't consider myself worthy enough to be doing that. But
You are, but it's
it,
just it's probably just a little weird
yeah,
because life goes by so fast, and you remember being the kid or the younger twenties
absolutely.
going up to,
100%.
the table. Yeah.
So like even at that, Sid, I adhere to Sid's rules, even though it pissed people off sometimes.
Oh yeah.
Sid was $20 per autograph.
Oh
That
my
was
God.
it.
I
That was
I
it.
I tell people this every like I've been going to cons for a while, and to this day, I don't think anyone. I mean, maybe it was standard back in the day. I don't know, but in terms of today's standards, Sid Haig was. I think it was $20 for an autograph, and,
Yeah.
and he always gave every fan a free picture. But
Yep.
more importantly than the autograph and the free picture, he would legitimately look you in the eye and want to talk to you for a little bit, and like
Yeah.
not just say, okay, get out of here, okay, get out. No, he like
Hmm.
Sid was legit interested in who the hell you were
Yeah.
and tell me something about you, and that's how my interactions always were with him, and and,
Hmm.
and they were always fun, and
And George was very much the same way. George, I've sat with George at his table at signings
yeah,
for 3, 4 hours after the show ended because he would stay there and
hmm,
make sure everyone that was in line not
yeah,
only got their autograph, but got to spend a couple of minutes
yeah,
talking to him, you know?
hmm,
He never rushed anybody out of the way, and neither did Sid.
yeah,
So in that light, I've taken the best of those two worlds. I only sign for, $20 for an 8x10 or whatever it is, your own item, whatever. If you want to buy a poster, it's 40 and the
right.
posters are, whatever. But I won't charge more than that. And I am certainly not going to charge somebody for a fucking selfie or a picture. I mean,
It's
I
it's
see people doing for that. And I'm like,
yeah.
fuck out of here, dude.
Yeah, I don't
You
get it.
know?
I don't get. And what's happening is it's becoming the industry standard now, the norm.
Mhm.
So the people who maybe wouldn't normally do that say like, "Oh, so and so's doing that, so I guess I should do it too." Okay, $40 for a selfie with your own camera. Like what the
Yeah.
f
So, I mean, listen, if it's Linda Blair, if it's
Yeah,
Bruce
yeah, no,
Campbell,
I get it.
if
Yeah,
it's
yeah, yeah.
William Shatner, if it's the
Yeah.
upper echelon
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
horror stars or genre
Hmm.
talent, sure, charge whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah.
You have earned that right to charge
Yeah.
that much.
I,
But
yeah.
if you've
Hmm.
made one appearance in one movie and it was like 10 seconds long, you shouldn't be charging people for a selfie. I'm sorry. You shouldn't.
No, 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 no. Yeah, it gets getting ridiculous, but no, we'd be remiss though, Steve, to not bring up um the fact that you were an executive producer on Terrifier 2. Before you get into that, were you familiar with All Hallows Eve prior to and the first one prior to?
I
Okay,
had
good.
seen I
Yeah.
had seen All Hallows Eve. I still
Yeah.
work with the guy. His
Yeah.
name is Jesse Baget, who
Yeah.
put out All Hallows Eve
Right.
under his company Ruthless Pictures.
Hmm.
Excuse me. What happened was, listen, .com is a very sketchy industry, and as it always happens every few years,
Hmm.
the bottom drops out, right? So
Yeah, of
Dread
course. Yeah.
Central, another thing I'm really proud about Dread Central was it was always independently owned. We never had a parent company. Every other website had a parent company. We were indie and we did that on our own steam, and I'm so proud of that.
Yeah.
But, something happened called social media and it
Hmm.
sunk us and it sunk a lot of other uh, websites out there too, because all of a sudden we went from the studios buying ads and working with us directly to the studios buying Instagram pages and getting
Yeah, it's
interns
insane.
and they were like, "Hey, could you cover our Instagram page?" I'm like, "Oh, the thing that's putting me out of business? Sure."
Yeah,
You
why
know?
not? Why
So
not?
we had a decision to make. It was either sell to a parent company or take our ball and go home.
Yeah.
We even tried Patreon. We
Hmm.
um we offered everybody complains about website ads. So we offered Dread Central completely ad free to subscribers for $1 a month, and still nobody would pay, you know? And that it almost makes you feel like, in a weird way, it makes you feel like you're a failure. You're like, really? I'm not worth $1 a month? That's less
Yeah.
than a fucking soda, dude,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. Exactly.
So, and to get it how you want it, that you always complain about this, and that, and now you get it exactly as you want it. But, that's neither here nor there. So the Patreon didn't work.
Hmm.
And a company named Epic Pictures Group stepped in, and they were like, well, we love what you guys do. We'd like to acquire you and keep your voice as it is, and eventually spin Dread Central off into a reputable title for their home video label, for their horror releases. So we were like, all right, fuck it. That seems like at least a logical evolution of what we were doing. So we said okay, and we got into it, and it was my job at first to pick the movies for Dread Central Presents, and they they sent me like 200 fucking movies, and every one of them was terrible.
Bone chew
Okay.
ugly.
Oh my god, the only good one that they had sent me was the Kane Hodder documentary,
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
to Hell and Back.
Right.
And
Right.
that is a great
Yeah.
documentary.
Hmm.
And so I was like, okay, here's that one, but we didn't have like a horror movie yet. And if it's coming out under my banner, that
Yeah.
shit's gonna be good,
Yeah.
because that's all I
Absolutely.
have, right?
Hmm.
So out of nowhere, Damien Leone emails me.
Hmm.
Apparently, um he had seen a quote of mine on the back of Rob Zombie's 31.
Okay. Yeah.
And he was like, hey, Steve, I don't know if you're familiar with me. My short films are all featured in All Hallows Eve. We made a feature version of Terrifier with Art the Clown, but we're getting zero traction. We're
Mm.
getting no bites. Everybody either wants to edit the movie or tell us that we need to do this or do that or do that. And I'm like, he gets like, it's been 2 years where
Yeah.
I'm frustrated.
Yeah.
Can you please watch it and maybe give me a quote? Maybe that could help. So at this point, I'm like, oh, hot damn, I could take a break from this stack of steaming shit that I've been going through, and watch something for fun.
Yeah.
And I watched Terrifier, and I watched it again, and then I watched it again, and I called him back. I'm like, what are you doing with this? He's like, we're not doing anything. We're like a hair away from self-distributing it. I'm like, don't do anything. Well, you're not doing anything, but just give me a minute, right? So I call up the people at Epic. I'm like, listen, I found the movie I want to lead with. It is not one you sent me, uh, but this is it. And then
Yeah.
they balked because worldwide rights weren't available. It had
Oh,
already sold overseas. And I was like, trust me here, you're not going to regret this. Just
yeah.
this is it. So they acquired the movie for North American distribution sight unseen. And I was so happy, and Damien was so happy. And now I'm like, wow, this is gonna be cool, dude. Because what appealed to me about Terrifier was that this was the movie that when I was growing up,
Hmm.
hanging out with my friends in the fucking schoolyard,
Yeah.
this was the exact movie we'd be talking about,
Oh,
like the
absolutely.
forbidden fruit.
Yeah.
And nothing had made me feel like that for a long time. I mean,
Hmm.
Hatchet came close. Hatchet is probably more violent than Terrifier,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
Hatchet is also lighthearted and fun. Whereas
Side note, I think Steve, you're in part two, right, for a little
I
bit.
am in part two. And it was just Terrifier. Yes, there was humor, but it was gritty and dirty,
Yeah.
and made you
Yeah.
feel like you needed to take a shower
Oh,
when it was.
it felt, oh, it was a new school movie, but it felt old school. It felt
He
like,
made the best
yeah,
80s movie without trying to make an
yeah,
80s movie,
right, right, right. Yeah, yeah.
And then, of course, there's the scene with Catherine Corcoran, and I was like,
Hmm.
fuck, dude, they went there. This is amazing, right?
Yeah, it's
So
unbelievable.
I knew that this movie was going to make a dent. I didn't
Hmm.
know how much of a dent, but I knew. And long story short, after about a month after the acquisition, the people at Epic got to watch it, and they said it was the worst movie they've ever seen, and they hated it. And they were like, you don't know what you're doing. So they stopped my ability from picking any more movies. And that duty went to, they hired Rob Galuzzo, who at that time was from Icons of Fright,
Okay.
to do that kind of work. And then they just really, I mean, it wasn't epic as a whole. It was, there were two partners at that time. One of them, Patrick Ewald, I have an immense amount of respect for. The other sucker, I'm not even saying his name, but of course, the other sucker was the one I was dealing with on a weekly basis, and he made both Damien and I's life absolutely miserable.
Ugh.
Then they were doing things. He would come to me like, "Oh, can we call it hashtag Terrifier? That way, it's at least at the
Ah,
top of the list in Redbox." I'm like, "No, you can't call it hashtag Terrifier. That's stupid." Right. And then he's like,
hashed.
"Well," he goes, "Well, then we're going to have to edit it." I'm like, "Listen, if you edit one frame of this movie, it's no longer Terrifier.
Yeah,
It's one of
yeah.
1,000 other movies."
What is the logic there of trying to dip their hand into something that's already pretty much? I mean, I realize they didn't like.
It was, they didn't think it would sell. They didn't think it was
Yeah, so
marketable.
they wanted to make it a little bit more
So they had a
to the
better chance of reaching
casual.
the casual
Yeah,
audience.
yeah, yeah.
And another thing I was told was like, the world already has a killer clown movie because Stephen King's It was
Pennywise,
huge at the time.
remake of Pennywise came out.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
So I mean, and I'm not saying by any stretch of the imagination Terrifier is better than fucking It. It certainly is not. But it's also apples and oranges, and the two
Yeah,
of them can exist in that same space.
yeah, yeah.
And it just got really bad. And even like, they wouldn't even promote it. They dumped it into like two theaters for an opening weekend. And it was just so fucking terrible, dude. I can't even tell you the amount of shit that I took and got for that. And it
Do you remember?
got,
What about? Do you remember what what year this was? Right about now that you're talking about, because
it was
I'm
the year before it was released on home video. So what,
okay. So this
20,
had to be
2018,
2017 around there. Yeah,
2017,
yeah, around there.
2018.
Yeah, yeah,
So, and it had been kicking around for 2 years as it was
yeah.
without doing anything.
Hmm.
So things got so bad that in the one of our meetings, our completely masturbatory meetings that we had to have every week, where everybody would come up with these great ideas and then implement none of them. And it would just be a complete fucking waste of time. But at one of them, it got so bad that I stood up and I said, listen, if this movie does not perform exactly as I think it's going to perform, you can keep my company. I will walk away. I will walk away. I'm done. You have it free and clear.
You felt
So
that strongly about it, yeah.
I put everything I had on the
Hmm.
line to get that movie released. And what did they do? They didn't even put ads on Dread Central for it. They dumped it. And whatever. But they did one thing right. They
Yeah.
gave it killer fucking artwork and they
Hmm.
stuck it on fucking Netflix.
Yep.
And
So yeah,
that's where people started finding it.
absolutely. I was just going to say that because I remember the Monster Mania con that I went to a dealer and bought the Blu-ray from. I was like, oh shit, I can finally watch this because I was reading up on it and I was a fan of All Hallows Eve. I was like, oh shit, I can watch this. I think it was like a week or two later, maybe not even, it dropped on Netflix. I'm like, I was kind of like pissed off a little bit because like, ah, I just bought this, but I wanted it anyway. And the other half of me was saying, holy shit, this is gonna this is gonna be crazy, crazy big.
Something really magical happened
Yeah.
before any of us knew what was happening. Fans,
Hmm.
God bless them, fans, they were making their own merch. There was there
Cosplay.
were fucking murals of Art the Clown
Yeah.
popping up all over the world. Germany, fucking
Yeah.
New York. Art the Clown was slowly becoming an icon, but
Hmm.
everywhere. And even at conventions, people cut at one. I was at a Texas Frightmare weekend and I saw like 7 different Terrifier items. And I called Damien from the show floor. I'm like, do we have merch? And he's like, hell no, we don't have merch. I'm like, then I think we're really onto something. So
Yeah.
it turned out that Terrifier ended up being Epic Pictures Group, not just their best-selling horror Blu-ray, but their best-selling title, period.
Wow.
in the history of that company at that time. I don't know what's happened since or after or whatever,
Right.
but I know it still sells hand over fist.
Yeah.
And I was so proud of that, because to me that was very validating. It's like, wow, I do know what I'm talking about, contrary to what these assholes are telling me. And
I mean,
I
you
quit.
deserve your flowers for that, man. Just
Well, thank you.
sticking up for this movie that has become literally. And I was telling who did I have on the show? I had a lot of people from the show. I had Elliot on the show.
Hmm.
I did Lauren's first interview before part two came out.
Hmm.
And David too. But I was saying it's interesting because this movie in particular, I don't think, and I'm trying to rack my brain, I don't think there's ever been not only did it make money, but a movie where you've got a horror icon in a world where we were kind of like wiped of like when was the last before Art the Clown came around? Now you see him in Spencer's, you see him in Spirit Halloween. He's like the same. He gets the same floor space as Freddy and Michael Myers.
Yep.
Before that happened, there had been nothing, like nobody. I don't. I mean, we grew up in the. I grew up in the '80s, '90s. Other, I don't know. I mean, again, Hatchet was a great movie.
Close.
I loved it, but let's be realistic, not to this level.
Right.
So, I mean, in terms of like iconic characters, and that's really what set it apart, I think, the character
Well,
itself, you
it,
know?
it was the direction, it was Damien's direction and his vision
Yeah.
and David's fucking incredible performance
Yeah, he
that
was.
really set things apart. So
Hmm.
once Terrifier became a hit, I said, you know what? Fuck these guys. And I quit
Yeah.
Dream Central.
Yeah.
And I was like, I can't work with people who I can't trust. I mean,
Hmm.
at that point in time, a lot had happened, even having nothing to do with Terrifier,
Right.
where it made me realize that I couldn't trust these people. So a few months after I left, I wasn't doing anything, you know. I was fucking shit scared. I mean, Uncle Creepy is the only thing I was good at.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was Damien called me and goes, "Hey dude, we're gonna do a sequel." And I was like, "Well, shit. I have to be involved, not because it's all I had, even though that's all I had at that time, but because my story and Terrifier's story had become so entwined, you know?
Yeah.
And
Absolutely.
I said, listen, um, I felt, and this is how I felt. I don't know it for a fact,
Right.
but I felt that Dread Central had completely mistreated them. And when something like that happens, especially because I was responsible for that, I take onus for that. And
Right.
I felt bad of the way they would treat it because, again, it was like the second class. Nobody had faith in these movies at that
Yeah.
company, zero. And then it started blowing up, and I was like, I have to work on this. And
Hmm.
so I told him, I'll do it for free. Let me just show you what could be possible. If we get lucky enough to make a part three, we'll talk contracts then.
Yeah.
But let's just fucking do this. So we did it. And I knew that the only way that this movie was going to be successful was the only reason why the first one was successful. It was the fans.
Hmm.
So I wasn't on set for any of Terrifier 2 because I was in California and it was filming here in, the East Coast.
Yeah.
But I was constantly on the phone with Damien. I was constantly connecting him with talent. I was doing everything I should have been doing, reading pages, giving opinions, blah, 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 blah. And I moved back here and I knew that, again, I had to use the fan base. So I made sure that every fan, whether they knew what Terrifier was or not, knew that Terrifier 2 was coming.
Yeah.
And I made it so that every single fan out there, they weren't just in the car with us. I mean, on the ride with us, they were in the fucking car next to us.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And that was the type of organic reach that I was good at putting together. And I remember watching some morning show with Jerry O'Connell, and they're like, "Hats off to whoever's doing this brilliant marketing job for them. And I'm like, hi, it's me, it's Damien, and it's bloody disgusting. That's all
Yeah.
we had.
Yep.
And even bloody disgusting wasn't sure what to do with it at time. They wanted. I had a discussion with them about releasing an R-rated cut, and I'm like, you're
Yeah.
setting yourself up to fail
Yeah.
because no one is going to go see this movie if they know they can watch it unrated a few months later. You
Hmm.
know the way it
Right.
should have been
That's
seen. So
great point. Yeah.
you're setting yourself up to fail. And
Hmm.
then they did this other thing. Once the hype started, they had some fictitious company made up some sort of stupid account that was like Mothers Against Terrifier 2.
Okay.
And I caught wind of that, and Bloody was ready to push it. I'm like, you cannot push this
Yeah.
because it's not real. And if you put some fake shit out there, it's going to cost us whatever real shit we have.
Right.
So
Right.
I put a pin in that. I did everything on that side for Terrifier 2. The only thing I didn't do was film the fucking movie itself, you
Yeah.
know? And then 3 came around and I was no longer in the picture because I wasn't needed anymore.
Yeah, that's a whole nother story.
Yep.
Really, another can of shit worms. But
Mm-hmm.
you know what I really wish I wish you were there for when they filmed in part two at Fright Factory. I've been there since a couple times, and it's really cool how they give little tributes to.
Frank is a great guy.
Yeah, yeah. I
Frank
talked to
is
him
a
afterwards.
he's a,
Yeah,
and
but that's that
yeah,
whole my last 30. I think the last 30 minutes or so is filmed all inside of the haunt there in South Philly. So
yeah. It's a Terrifier fan's dream to walk through there
I'm
and
wondering
see
if
all
I'm
this.
wondering if people from I 30 minutes away, but I mean I wonder if people from like other far ass places just travel big Terrifier fans and maybe
I'm
like
sure.
it
I'm
has to
sure.
be happening. I'm sure. Yeah, just
Because
to
when we were in the middle of that, I was Fright Factory was right on the top of my list of things I would promote. Hey, if you're a fan, go to Fright Factory, check out the
yeah
tour. You know,
yeah
you'll see things, you'll be able to stand in the exact places where this movie was filmed. And they even had, art was there still on the wall there in the bathroom and
yeah.
all this other stuff. So it's really cool for fans to go there. And that
Hmm.
was before anything even remotely like that was happening. So it was a magical moment, and I'm so glad to have taken that ride and to have played my part in turning that movie into a juggernaut. Because at the end of the day, and this isn't sour grapes, it's just a fact. You could make the best movie in the world, but if nobody knows about it, you haven't done
Yeah
shit.
yeah exactly.
And luckily, I was in the position to make sure everyone knew about it. And that's what I did. And if I had it all to do again, I wouldn't do a single thing different because to me, I don't care that they fucked me.
Hmm.
Terrifier's success is what's best for the genre.
Yeah
It's
absolutely.
of movies like Terrifier 2 getting the release that it did and making so much money that now when you go to a fucking horror movie, there's actually violence in it,
Oh
you
yeah,
know? So
yeah.
it's
There's
changed it.
I knew when it started when it started making the kind of money that it made that this was going to have a ripple effect throughout the
Mhm.
horror mainstream horror. And
Yep.
and I'm not talking about we're going to see a bunch of killer clown ripoffs. I mean just
Oh, we
this
have.
but just gesture, but
Yeah, remember that little thing?
yeah,
Holy
but
shit.
but in terms of style and like you say, violence and gore and non CGI
Mhm.
style, I mean, again, you got to put in a little bit more work. You can't just press a button. But
Well,
especially
there's a little bit of fiction there, okay?
okay,
Yes, the effects work in Terrifier and Terrifier 2 and Terrifier 3 is amazing,
yeah,
but it's also augmented by a guy named Kill Josh Petrino. Josh
okay,
Petrino is the reason why those kills look as good as they did. And the best compliment you can give Josh is you did not notice his work.
yeah,
Because listen, when you have a head, a,
hmm
a beheaded head moving,
yeah,
there are wires. And so all
oh
that
yeah,
stuff has to be digitally painted out.
right, yeah,
When you
yeah,
see a guy's face moving on a severed head,
uh-huh,
that's digitally overlaid. You didn't
right,
construct that. And so Josh Petrino is very much an unsung hero of that franchise. To my knowledge, I'm the only one that's ever publicly acknowledged his work on it while everybody was talking about the movie's effects. And
Right.
there's no reason to hide that. He did an
Yeah.
incredible job. Everybody who did anything on those movies should be applauded.
Yeah. No, absolutely. It's amazing, and it's I think you said it before, but it's got to be just weird, kind of like the butterfly effect that would happen if if Uncle Creepy wasn't involved in this. What it? I don't know. I don't know. I don't think
It
so. I don't think so.
it would have it they would have self-distributed it,
It would have
and it
would
would have
have.
made a little bit of a dent. It would have become like
Mhm.
a a, a cult little thing, but
Yeah.
I don't think it would not have reached the avenues that it reached if I didn't do every single thing that I did.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know? And again, I'm not mad at any of them. Yes, they really screwed me. They've screwed a lot of people, and that's unfortunate. But I would not have changed a single thing I did because I know I did everything right, as evidenced by its success.
Do you think money changes people?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
110%.
Hmm.
And it's not exactly just money with them. There's a little bit of a person on that team that is the cause of pretty much all of this shit, you
Yeah.
know? And it's unfortunate, but it is what it is, you know? Um, listen, there are sometimes I feel like a failure. I ain't gonna lie because like
I don't
it
think
is
that.
it is everywhere. I got them their first big merch deals, which was why you'll see it in places like Hot Topic
Dude,
and Spencer's.
I
And
I can't imagine how you feel because
it
literally when I went to Spirit Halloween, I
Mhm,
saw a Sienna t-shirt and I said, "Oh shit, I did Lauren Rivera's first interview before anybody
mhm.
knew who she was." That's a this is that compared to the shit that you put into this movie, and then you go out and see how mainstream it is. It's like you gotta. I guess it's a kind of a weird feeling because on one hand you're feeling good, and on the other hand you're like, "Ugh."
I'll tell you exactly what it is.
Yeah.
It's like living with your ex and she doesn't go away.
Yeah.
Okay. It's like when I walk into a store or I see people wearing or carrying or whatever, something Terrifier related, make no mistake, I beam with pride, you know?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
then I also know that I'm a good portion of the reason why they're doing that and
Hmm.
why that stuff is in stores. And so I go from being really proud to being like, you know what? Out of everybody on that team, I'm struggling, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
And I here was the brass ring. I handed it to them, you know?
I think yeah, and honestly, I think the vibe I get from you anyway is first of all, I know you're a good person and I can read people just like Sid could read people, but it's
Mhm.
like you're not asking to be hand over fist, rich Uncle Creepy. You just like anybody, like myself, you just don't want to be struggling or check the check or stuff like that.
The,
And
the reason
nobody wants to be like that.
the only time it hurts is when I think about my wife and
Yeah.
my family, and I'm like how they should be living right now
Yeah.
is the exact opposite of how we are living, and that kills me, you know.
Yeah.
But it also motivates me to keep going and come up with new stuff. And
Hmm.
I have a million other things in the works in various degrees of,
What is
production.
this? What the hell is this script you wrote? And it's been given some good words, but no one you can't divulge anything about it, right?
I can't tell anyone about that. I'm surprised you knew about that. Huh?
I do my research. You wrote
I don't know where that research came from, but good on you. But no, I have
co-wrote you co-wrote it with somebody.
yes,
Yeah.
I
All
have
right.
one script that's been getting huge buzz that we're just waiting for whatever we're waiting for. I can't talk
Yeah.
about. And I
Yeah.
have several others. And,
Yeah.
I have another one. It's a little indie script that I wrote to be small and contained
Yeah.
that's been getting a huge buzz from people. And, it's like, listen, I'm not worried about my future
Yeah.
in terms of where I'm going to be. The only
Hmm.
thing I worry about is how do I how do I carry us until I finally get there? And you know what?
Hmm.
That's okay too, dude. I've been living in survival mode my whole life. And it's you get used to it, you know?
Yeah.
And it sucks sometimes that, I'm sitting here on Halloween and there's kids dressed like Art the Clown fucking
Hmm.
knocking on my door. And I'm like, you don't even know, you
You
know?
got no clue in
You have no
there.
fucking idea who's giving you your Snickers bar right now.
Yeah.
And but again, it goes from it's like such a weird range of emotions. I talk about it in the book. And the only chapter in the book that was written and rewritten and then rewritten again was the Terrifier chapter.
Okay.
And it started as scathing fucking fury,
Hmm. Yeah.
and then I dialed it down, and then I dialed it down, and then I brought it back up, and then I dialed it down again until I finally settled on a way where I felt like I had what I need. I said what I needed to say
Right.
without the vitriol, you know?
Right. Right. You had a
And
good balance of
yeah,
being
because
being honest, but
at
also,
yeah,
yeah.
at the end of the day, I am immensely proud of what
Yeah.
I did with Terrifier. And I'm so proud of Damien. I'm proud of David. I'm proud of Lauren. I'm proud of the whole team, except for a couple of people, And it's just it's something I'm not going to be able to get away from, but it's also not something I'm not going to run from either.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know what I did. The fans, the real fans, know what I did.
Absolutely. That's why you're on this damn show. I wouldn't have you on other. I mean, I would have you on otherwise, but I mean, that's why I'm giving you your flowers. You
I
deserve it. And I
appreciate it.
and I and I didn't know enough about the situation to be fair initially, but I have to. I wear my heart on my sleeve, and you got to be honest with yourself, and you
Mm-hmm.
you, you deserve you deserve you definitely deserve all the praise that you get, and I am kicking my ass that I didn't read that, and I'm definitely going to
I'll
read
come
that
back. I'll
Terrifier.
come back after that you're done with the book, and we'll
Yeah,
talk about the book. Oh, it's
I'd have a lot
fun.
more to talk. Yeah, I mean, we were going long today, but I mean, if we can do it again, I would love to talk about
Absolutely,
to my reaction
absolutely.
to all
I
that
want to
shit. Yeah.
see. Here's the thing. I love being able to talk to people who are reading it, whether they know
Yeah.
me or not, just to
Right.
see how it goes with them. I
Hmm.
mean, how often do you get a chance to read a memoir and then talk to the author? It's
Yeah.
bizarre. I
Right.
could have waited till I was dead, but I was the only one that's going to give me any recognition anyway. So fuck it, right?
Yeah. Right. Yeah. Might as well. Well, they always
Might as
say,
well
oh,
enjoy it while I'm here still to like witness it, I guess.
yeah. So, Uncle Creepy, where can they? I don't know if we said it yet. I don't think we did. Where can they find? If people watching this right now, if you hung along this long, then you probably want to buy the damn book. Where can
It's
they where
it's
can they
on
find where can they find it?
Amazon, Barnes and Noble, Audible. The audiobook version is
Right.
available. I don't read the audiobook version, but I do appear on the audiobook.
Okay.
The
Cool.
reason
Cool.
why I don't read it is because I wrote that shit to
Yeah.
close those doors, so I don't want to walk back through them again.
Yeah.
And but you know, there's all sorts of extras on the audiobook too. There's music, there's fucking all sorts of madness. But I'm so blown away. I mean, it has near perfect reviews on Amazon. It has near perfect reviews on Goodreads. It has near perfect reviews everywhere that it is. And I just want to say to everyone who's taken the time to write one of them, thank you, because that's all that I have. There's
Yeah.
no giant marketing team behind this book.
No, it's
So it,
DIY.
yeah,
That's
man.
that's how it is. That's how it's got to be.
It's like the most punk rock thing anyone could do is
Hmm.
read my book and give it a bad or good review. I don't care which. Just fucking
Absolutely.
talk about the fucking thing.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I encourage everybody to do that. Folks at home want to follow Mr. Barton online. Where the hell? Where do they go for that? They go the Instagrams, the Facebooks, the
Yeah, I'm on
MySpace.
all those wacky things. I'm at Uncle Creepy SB on Instagram. I am at Uncle Creepy on Twitter. I am Steve Uncle Creepy Barton on TikTok. I'm on Facebook. I'm not hard to find. I relish the chance to speak to anyone because, George taught me this one thing. I said to him, George, the show closed 3 hours ago. Why are you still signing for people? And he said to me, Steve, I don't know if I'm ever going to see any of these people again. They don't know if they're ever going to see me again. So make sure they have a good time. And that's what they're there for. And that's how I try to be too. I will stay till the last person has what they need, and then I'll go. And then I don't even go to my room, dude. I go right to the bar. I want to hang out with the
Yeah.
friends. That's where I'm in my element. At
You gonna be?
Monster Mania, I'll be there in a couple weeks just to hang out
Oh,
at the
okay.
bar.
All right.
I don't give a fuck.
Yeah, no, it's yeah, no, I've very familiar with the bar there. So I will
Mhm.
I'm sure we've crossed paths a few times here, but I'll make a
Probably
point I'll make a point to say hello in a
bring your
couple weeks.
book. I'll be happy to sign it.
Yeah, hell yeah. Hell yeah. Steve, thanks so much for coming on the show, man. You're the real deal. And there's not too many of you.
Thank you.
So, and especially maybe that is the problem. Maybe uh you're just too damn nice for this business. What do you
You're
think?
not the first person to tell me that. I'm my own worst enemy sometimes
Well,
because
don't fucking change though, because
I dude,
then you'd be selling yourself out.
it's impossible for me to be any other way. I am
Yeah,
the way I am. I want to make people happy. I want to see people succeed. I don't like seeing any house of cards fall because I know
yeah,
how delicate and fragile everything is. So anytime I get a chance to help someone or boost someone, it's what should be done because no one did it for me for many years. And
yeah,
so if I'm in the position to help somebody, I'm gonna fucking do it because I can.
yeah,
You know.
yeah. Thanks so much, man. I appreciate it, and I hope everybody at home enjoyed this talk as much as I did. This was a great one, and like I said, when I get done having a look at that piece of
Don't
business.
just go read the Terrifier chapter, man. Take the fucking
I'll
ride.
read. I read it all. I'm going to read about your childhood. I'm going to read about your
I
ups, your
could promise
downs,
you one
your
thing.
insight,
I could promise you one
the
thing.
weird teenage years.
Oh yeah. I can promise you one thing. I can guarantee you'll never be bored.
Well, that's number one.
Guaranteed.
Can't wait, brother. Can't wait.
All right, man.
All right, man. Thanks so much, and
My pleasure.
cheers, guys. Thanks for joining us.
Take care.
See you real
Review my
soon.
book, god damn it.
Yeah. What the hell is what problem? Review it. Read it. Buy it. Buy it. Review it. Bye, guys. Later.
Take care.